Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series. Rand Timmerman is our guest today. Rand is the author of A Spiritual Passage, a story of two 70-something brothers who hiked the Appalachian Trail, and really the story about the why. Why did these two guys decide to hike? And we're going to learn a little bit about their history, really the challenge of preparing for this really arduous journey, and also what was the kind of the lessons learned, the aha moments that came out as a result of this very much spiritual journey as well, and really athletic journey. So Rand, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Howard. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. Now, I have to ask, I love the behind you. You've got obviously your Marine Corps history. I love that. And you've got the flag, you've got the copies of the book. So I imagine you get up to speak in front of audiences a lot, because you've got the veteran connection as well as the author connection, as well as your professional background as well.
That's true. Yeah, I do speak quite a bit. I've been doing a fair amount of podcasting and talking about my book and my history and trying to help people who might be struggling with some of life's difficulties, including addiction. I had an alcohol problem. I've been 12 years sober yesterday.
Excellent. Excellent. I guess I never really asked anyone this question. Being 12 years sober, that is in itself a major accomplishment, because I know how bad the addiction of alcoholism can be, from others in my life that have faced this. But and also your background as a veteran in Vietnam, for that matter, and just being around in a very high stress environment, working with lots of young kids, men and women, and then some older, and you're seeing a lot of things, you experience a lot of things. When did the alcohol become a part of your life? I'm curious about that.
Yes, I grew up in a very rural village called Adams, New York, in upstate New York. I was born in 1946. And I was surrounded with relatives, men who were veterans of World War II, including my father, who was a Mustang pilot. And when he came back, he got polio, ended up a year in the hospital, 8 months in an iron lung, and he paralyzed from the waist down when it was all over with. But he was a very hardworking man. My parents didn't drink, thank God, but we were very impoverished. And the first time I drank alcohol, I was 13 years old. I got invited to a party. And I was so uncomfortable. I'm wearing clothes that other people wore out. Shoes have holes. I mean, we were really poor. Went to bed hungry a lot. And I found a bottle of Jim Beam in the basement. And my friend that came with me, we're both the same height, but he's 200 pounds. I'm 99. And the next morning, I went and told my dad, because I figured he was going to find out what happened. And I swear I drank more of the bottle than he did. It was a pint. It wasn't a lot, but when you're first time in, I mean, it just gave me such a rush. It was unbelievable. We crawled home. I couldn't walk anymore, but I didn't get sick. And it had a profound effect on me. So I owned up to my father, Howard, and I stood way back because my father was short temper. He didn't like a whole lot of emotional strain given what he'd gone through. And
Sure.
I stood way back and told him, and he shocked me because he looked at him. He said, "Okay, Butch, well, just don't do that again." And David's in the hospital. David, who weighed 200 pounds and drank less, ended up in the hospital. And I just knew at that moment that I was definitely going to do it again, because I had done Clint Eastwood. When I drank, I was turned into a movie star. I was 6'4", not 5'8". I didn't have acne. I was handsome. I was sexy. I was funny. Everything I wanted to be. The rest of the time, I didn't feel adequate in any domain. But the good thing was I made a decision not to do anything else. Why would I? Right? But I realized it was so powerful and becoming a part of my life, probably going to be a fairly significant part of my life, that I would never did any of the drugs. And I didn't. I never smoked pot or anything. That was the upside. But
Right.
and for a long time, it didn't really bother me. For a long time, it wasn't available. My parents didn't drink, thank God.
Right. Yeah.
But
So,
I went through the war and all that. My brother did too. We were both traumatized from. He was a religious person right from the get go. I never lost it.
mhm,
That first battle, I just decided if there was a God, he really had things messed up.
really? Wow.
Yeah, I felt like hell, but I was very angry. And I decided I would never have a relationship with a higher power again if I had one at all. But,
Right.
when the disease took over my late 50s, early 60s, I struggled for quite a while. But I finally made a connection with a higher power, which is such a blessing. It changed my life in so many ways. I mean, I'm still active in the same recovery program,
Mhm.
and I go to meetings every day and I work with guys every day, and it's just changed my life. And it made it possible for me, because I was 4 years sober when my brother lost his wife, to do the trail. If I had still been drinking,
Okay.
there's no way, no way.
Okay.
So that's a quick history of my
Okay.
alcoholism.
Well, there's a lot of ways to go. I love the fact that that first drink, nothing happens to you. You've got this bravado, and it kind of plants the seed in a way of, in some ways, who we are becoming or going to become. And it's like I am like invincible in some ways.
Yeah.
Your brother, had you both gotten along growing up? You mentioned that he was more religious than you, but had you gotten along? Did you break bread with each other, go walk in the woods with each other, go fishing, do things with each other, or had you been for a little farther apart?
No, we were very close. We were a year apart. I was the oldest, and we had a very difficult time growing up. I kind of took a different path than Ronnie. Ronnie was very uh, willing to do whatever our parents said. He just did it. I mean, he was almost like the perfect kid.
Hmm.
And because of my father's situation, when he wasn't working at his jobs, I had to be with him all the time, and I was his gopher. Get this,
Okay.
get that. I helped my dad. So I resented it. My brother and my younger sister, and then my little brother, who was 9 years behind us, they had a normal childhood, but I really didn't, because I was working all the time.
Right.
I wasn't in school and I got very involved. We were in a rural area. I was running around farms, working 10, 11. I was driving tractors and hauling manure spreaders at 12 years old,
Oh wow.
hunting in the woods with a single shot 22 rifle, shooting squirrels and rabbits and stuff, and bringing meat home. So we'd have some meat when I was 12 to 18 years old. I mean, I was a trapper.
Hmm.
I trapped. I got very involved in the Boy Scouts. I pretty much did anything I could to get out of the house. So my brother and I were kind of on a totally different track. I'm
Right.
kind of the wild, frisky, I'm a pretty good kid 90% of the time. And then I would do something. My dad would get really angry with me. And sometimes we would get physical, which I knew where the buttons were. I was partially to blame for sure.
I When I was growing up, as I look back, I could see where I pressed buttons too, and I'm sure if my dad was alive, may he rest in peace, would have regret. I know I have regret as I think about my father. What I'm finding is very interesting is you have this thread, the story of growing up, the challenges that you face, the relationship with your brother, and he went on to a great career, an important career in the Marines, and then on to being a judge advocate general. That it seems like those two paths, you wouldn't anticipate you going from this one path that you were on to this other path.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I feel like the movie with Tom Hanks. Um, oh, what the heck is the title of it? Gump, Forrest
Go,
Gump.
force them.
The butterfly thing. I mean, my life took so many twists and turns. I did go off to college when I graduated, My brother went right into the Army when he graduated a year later. But I was lost soul in college because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was a janitor cleaning toilets from midnight to 8 every day, and then
Mhm.
worked as a pin setter in a bowling alley. And I'm going to college full time, and I was getting decent grades, but I had no money and I didn't know what the hell I wanted to be. I finally changed my major my third semester to psychology because I knew I was a nut job. I had to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And then I got drunk in a bar one night. And the next morning, I'm on the pool table when the owner came back in
Oh
and
boy.
just coming to, and he turns the radio on, starts cleaning up, and they're talking about the 1st Marine Division being in Vietnam. And I had one of my aha moments, and I got off that pool table and walked out of there. And a month later, I'm at the War Memorial in Syracuse, New York, pledging to defend my country against enemies, foreign and domestic. And 9 months later, I'm in a rice paddy going, oh my God, what have I done?
I could imagine.
Yeah. But I did survive that. I like to say that the Marine Corps got me killed at least almost 20 times. I mean, and then by a fluke, it gave me a legal career because they made me a second lieutenant in Vietnam for a couple months. They called them Mustangs.
Okay.
So I could do officer, even though I wasn't a real officer. I was a corporal, actually. And then when I was getting ready, I survived, which most of us didn't think we were going to. The mortality rate and the injury rate was be high.
Mhm.
A colonel came to see me. I hadn't seen a colonel in 6 months, I swear to God. And started talking to me. He said, well, you're not a second lieutenant anymore. Now you're a corporal and you're going to get out in 3-4 months. Or I'm recommending that they send you to OCS, Officer Candidate School, and you be a real officer.
Oh,
Well, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I had real no fan. I said, okay, sure. Why not?
okay.
So I went back home, had 30-day leave, went into the OCS. They actually made me a sergeant in OCS. We're promoted to sergeant. But
Okay.
then when I got done, I was a second lieutenant. And then I decided I wanted to be in the air wing because I didn't want to be in the first. Actually, when I got to Vietnam, I was with the 1st Marine Division.
Okay.
That was my unit. Talk about butterfly effect, right? And then, so when I get done with all my officer training, I had been a machine gunner, helicopters with the 1st Marine Air Wing, which was right next to 1st Marine Division in Da Nang.
Right.
So I decided I didn't want to be a grunt anymore. That's what they call it, infantry. And I went to Cherry Point, where the 1st Marine Air Wing was. So now I'm in the 1st Marine Air Wing. And I run into an old friend of mine. He had been my drill instructor. He was a Mustang captain at that point. And I didn't know it, but he became my guardian angel. And when I got there, he said, you want to go to any schools? And I go, well, I don't know what you got. And he goes, he rattling off these places, and he goes, Newport, Rhode Island. And I go, honest to God, Howard, this is what happened. And I said, Newport, Rhode Island, what's that? And he goes, it's a Judge Advocate General School. It's a Navy school for legal officers for the Navy and the Marine Corps. The next day, I'm checking in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I get there, the class I'm in, there's 100 of us. 99 of them are captains who have their college degrees and their law degrees. Some of them had already passed the bar. They went through all the Marine Corps training for officers, but they made them captains because they didn't, nobody would ever do that route, right? Because the money was good enough. So, and little old me. And they're all looking at me like, where did this guy come from?
That,
Because I
that's
don't
like
have
a
about
that's like a case for imposter syndrome. Why am I here?
exactly. Well, 20 of us rented a mansion out by the Atlantic Ocean because it was the off season. We each had our own room in this palatial place. And for whatever reason, these guys want to party. You know, they've been working hard and now they're kind of celebrating. And some of them are going to go to Vietnam and so on and so forth. And I, for whatever reason, I'm not drinking during the week. I'm just going to study. And then I'll hang out with these guys on the weekends, whatever. Well, son of a gun, we graduated. I am the class honor man.
Oh, boy.
I got the highest scores of anybody in the class. All those guys are like, what the hell? How did you don't know anything. Well, I knew how to study and I knew I knew a lot about the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So I went back to Cherry Point. They made me a defense attorney. Actually had a couple of acquittals, so they solved that problem by making me a prosecutor.
Okay.
And excuse me, we had a contingency down at Roosevelt Roads, which is a Navy base down in Puerto Rico. And there was a contingent of Marines, and I would go down. They would send me down there every 6 months or so, and I'd be there for a month to do trials and things like that.
Mhm.
And the first time I came back, I'm going, holy crap, I'm not at the top of the list to go back to Vietnam. Because if I had gone back to Vietnam, I probably would have been a forward observer,
Right.
right? They would have, because I was kind of like perfect guy. But now I'm not back down the list. And 6 months go by, I go back down to Puerto Rico. I come back, I'm talking to my friend who keeps giving me all these orders. And I said, darn, I'm not at the top. I might not have, there might not be enough time for me to go back to Vietnam. I mean, he looked at me, he goes, you stupid. Why do you think I keep sending you down to Puerto Rico? Because he knew if I went back to Vietnam, I would get killed. Almost
He,
certainly.
he was like a guardian angel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. But see, here's the thing. It gave me a whole career. It
Yeah.
changed my whole life in tremendous ways. And I had an awesome legal career. I was married with one child, another one on the way. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to Syracuse. The GI Bill didn't even pay the tuition. I'm working 3 jobs again. I'm going to college full. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night. So I'm still poor as hell and not liking that at all. But I ended up having a great legal career. I took on some pretty crazy cases right away, and I'm on TV all of a sudden. I'm in the radio and the newspaper, and then I ended up being the first lawyer to ever cross-examine the director of the FBI lab on the efficacy of DNA in the murder case, which was all based on circumstantial evidence, and I was representing one of the defendants.
Right.
I mean, what are the odds of that in upstate New York, in rural counties that have way more cows than people? And there was absolutely hardly any publicity about it. So there's another butterfly. I mean, my life was just, it's been amazing that way. And then, of course, the whole Appalachian Trail thing, which the way that came about is amazing too.
Had you, and believe it or not, we're going to talk about the and it's trying to weave. I'm trying to figure out. Look at as I share with my clients when I'm coaching them. I'd like to know what the sandbox looks like and what the guardrails. Where are the guardrails? But how? As far as being an alcoholic, had that always been as your career is moving forward? Had the alcoholism always been there? Until you made that decision one day, I'm done with this. That another aha moment.
In the beginning, like a lot of alcoholics, it was mostly a celebratory thing I would do to celebrate,
Okay.
outcome in a trial or like that, or partying with friends. I wasn't crazy.
Okay.
I was very driven to be successful. I was very much family type man and stuff like
Okay.
that. But I would party and do stuff. And every once in a while I'd get a little overboard and I would just stop for 3 or 4 or 6 months. So I
Okay.
wasn't a slave to it for decades.
Okay.
Problem is, if you are a real alcoholic, which turns out I am, you metabolize alcohol differently and your
Right.
body creates an excess of acetone. That's what gives you an unbelievably obsessive feeling that you have to drink. I thought
Gotcha.
it was some kind of a moral deficiency on my part when I got in my late 50s, early 60s, and I lost control. And
Okay.
it just damn near killed me. I mean,
Okay.
I can tell you some pretty awful stories, but for the
I
most, and I
I
actually
can
stopped.
imagine.
Yeah, I actually, before it really went off the rails, I made a decision not to stop my legal career. I didn't think I had enough money, but it turned out I did.
Okay.
I'm not ostentatious at all, so, but, uh, and then I just focused on because it took me a while to overcome the obsession, to make connection with a higher power, which changed my
Okay.
whole life
Okay.
tremendously.
When did this idea of even hiking the Appalachian Trail, let alone with your brother, come about? Is because in what you have shared so far, other than the rigor of being in the Marines, other than the rigor of having served in a very hostile environment, I'm not here. I mean, you talked about, yeah, I would go out in the forest and I would go hunting, this and that. But the Appalachian Trail, when did that come onto your radar, and what planted that seed for you? Like, I want to go do this, and then how did you come? And you talk a little bit also about your brother, how he came along after the loss of his spouse. But where did that linkage come in? Like, this is something I want to do.
I actually did some hiking in the Smoky Mountains and in on some sections of the Appalachian Trail in my 40s and 50s. Combat veterans come back, things would pile up on me. I would just go into the woods for a weekend and go hiking.
Oh,
In and my brother had moved to. So here's what happened.
okay.
It was totally my brother's fault, Howard, 100%.
We'll stick with that.
Because when he came back from Vietnam, my mother's best friend was Edie,
Right.
right? Edie was 14 years older than Ronnie, and when Ronnie met her and they went on their first date, she brought the 3 youngest of her 7 children with her. Honest to God, true.
That's called chaperoning. Wow.
Yep. So Edie's divorced with seven kids, and here's Ronnie, this warrior back from the war, and they started hanging out, and Ronnie fell madly in love. They fell madly in love,
Hmm.
and they got involved in the Church of Latter-day Saints
Okay.
in Watertown, New York. But they built a house close to there. Ronnie helped raise the kids and do all that stuff. They got very involved in the church. Ronnie was a bishop for 4 years, funerals, services, weddings, all kinds of stuff. Then they ended up moving out to Utah. So Ronnie lived in Utah for like 35 years while I'm on the East Coast. Some of their kids are on the East Coast, so they would come back every summer. We would spend like 1 day a year together.
Okay.
Me and my youngest brother, Marty, who also liked a little juice now and then, I would get a little buzz going on at these picnics we'd have. And then we start making fun of Ronnie because he wasn't having any fun because he didn't drink and he was a bishop in the morning church. And
Can't
it
do
was all
that.
nature. My siblings and I have always been very respectful and decent with each other. We never
Hmm.
had any uh, problems that I know of anyway, but we weren't really close. Well, then Edie had a stroke in 2011. By then, they ended up with 27 grandchildren. My brother today has 27 grandchildren and 30 great grandchildren
Oh,
because a
wow.
lot of them got involved in the Mormon church and they believe in, they're like rabbits. They get together real young and they're very frisky and their families start, you know,
Right.
in their late teens, early 20s. And that's kind of what happened there. But Edie had a massive stroke in 2011. Unfortunately, it was one of those deals where it didn't get better. It
Mhm.
actually got worse. And Ronnie took care of her for 6 years. So she passed in November, I think 17th of 2017. I knew he was struggling. I was talking to him on the phone. Finally went out there. I had never been there before. I went out to his house in January and we're hiking in the desert in Utah. We're both pretty, we're in our 70s. I have an artificial knee.
Mhm.
My left leg should have been worn out by then. And my right leg is a half inch shorter than my left from a whole bunch of problems. Nothing but bone on bone,
Mhm.
right leg. So I limp pretty badly. I like to brag I'm the limpiest man that ever hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah,
I,
that's an added burden too
oh my
of,
God, yes, I could tell you some stories. So I'm hiking with Ron and I said, so what are you going to do? And he said, hike the Appalachian Trail.
uh,
I said,
so he was the spark.
yes, absolutely. And I was very skeptical because, like I said, I had done some hiking. I mean, it's unbelievably difficult. And I'm 72, he's 71. And I said, how are you going to do that? And he says, well, turned out he'd done a lot of prep. He bought all the maps. He got
Right.
food, he had gear already he had it all planned out pretty much. And then he said, well, I'm just going to get on a bus and go to Springer Mountain, start walking, run, play. I'll go with you. So that's what we ended up doing. And in the book I wrote, the first version, I wrote in there after 2 weeks max. And when Ronnie was
Okay.
looking at it, he goes, 2 weeks max? What's that mean? You didn't think we could do it? I said, hell no, I didn't think we could do it. I figured 2 weeks max and you would come to your senses and we'd go home.
So
What
what happened at that 2 week point then?
we were in, so let me tell you a little bit about the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
It starts at Springer Mountain, Georgia.
Right.
First, I think it's 82 miles, takes you to Fontana Dam. It's right at the foothills of the Smoky Mountains and Clingman's Dome and all that. It's right outside of Maryville, which is very close to Knoxville, where I have 2 daughters. So in that, I just didn't think we would be able to finish it, but we actually did. It was amazing. But I struggled. It was really hard in the beginning, and I ended up actually, I thought, well, my daughter thought I'd broken a bone in my leg. I thought it was a really severe case of shin splints, except for the fact that when I got in the tent at night and went to sleep, normally if you have shin splints in the morning, you'll be all right until you aggravate it again. But this pain wasn't letting up. So when we got to Fontana Dam, I told Ronnie, I got to go get I'm going to have to go to urgent care. Something's really not right.
Mhm.
So I drove to my daughter's, which was only like 30 miles away. I
Good
went to
thing
urgent.
for that.
Anyway, it turned out I had a very severe infection because I have hammer toes
Okay.
and the top of my toes would go. Every night my socks would be full of blood.
Oh,
And I didn't
okay.
think too much about it. I'd just wash them out and let them dry out and put them on again in the morning.
Right.
But I got an infection. And by the time I got to medical treatment in the hospital, they said I was about 12 hours from being septic.
Mm.
So they put me on major antibiotics, and I was off the trail for about a week, and I went back on with Ron, and we just had these kind of problems, and we just kept going. But the Appalachian Trail goes from Springer Mountain,
Right.
Georgia, to Cotton Mountain in Maine, which is
Right.
right up the top part of Maine.
Oh
It's
yeah.
2,200 miles.
Oh
It
yeah.
goes over 600 mountains through 14 states.
Right.
550 miles in Virginia. You think you're never going to get out of Virginia when you're hiking the Appalachian Trail. The elevation changes is 465,000 feet, right? That's almost 500,000 feet of up and down on the Appalachian Trail.
And 10 miles a day every day, 220 days.
11, yeah, we averaged 11.
Okay.
The about 3 million people hike on some part of it, like you were
Right.
mentioned that you had done. 3,000 or so every year try to do the whole thing. Of that, about 17%, or about 450 people,
Right.
actually do the whole thing. But it was amazingly difficult. After my infection, we actually jumped up to Damascus, which is up by Bristol,
Mm-hmm.
and went north because we had gotten word that there was like 1.5 feet in the Smoky Mountains. Well, a whole bunch of hikers got stranded. And in one group there's 17 of them that got stranded together, and somehow they got a hold of the Forest Service and said, you got to come and get us. And they said, hell no, you have to walk out by yourself. So they had walked out. But so we jumped up Damascus and actually did the lower part of Virginia and then went back to Damascus and then went back south
Okay.
until we got
Okay.
back to Fontana Dam. And then we went back up to Petersburg in Virginia and just kept going after.
Okay.
But we
What?
had to jump around a little bit.
All right. Just, I've heard that a lot of hikers on the AT, it's a solitary thing, and yes, you're going to meet folks along the way, along the trail at the where you stop at night and get in your tent. But what was it like for you hiking with your brother, and what were the what were the conversations like, and how did you kind of feed off of each other, support each other, or maybe just get pissed off at each other? What was that like?
Yeah, I don't think we ever got pissed off at each other,
Okay.
which is very good thing. We were very, helpful to each other. Ronnie and I didn't hike together because of my limping. I could not keep up with him, and it
Okay.
drove me crazy. I could hike the same pace as him without much difficulty. You have kind of a natural pace that your body can. If you go slower, you're just wasting time. If you try to go a little bit faster, you're probably gonna be really bad shape at the end.
Mhm.
You kinda have a gear that works for you. Well, my gear was a little about the same as Ronnie's, but when you limp like I did, every step I'm like 2 inches shorter than he is, so he just pulls away from it, right?
Okay.
And then he
Okay.
would stop and wait for me, and then when I catch up to him, he'd turn, like, I get 10 feet away, and he'd turn and go, and "Oh my god, I can't." So we
Ah,
didn't
okay.
hike together. We had 2 vehicles, so we did it a little bit untraditionally in the fact that we had 2 vehicles. There's some kind of a road crossing the Appalachian Trail every 10 to 15 miles. A lot of them are
Okay.
dirt roads. Some of them are really bad.
Right.
There's long stretches in the Smoky Mountains. There's 2 stretches about 40 miles, no roads.
Mhm.
Priest is another area up in Virginia. So there's some places where you have to carry a full pack and go the whole 9
Okay.
yards. Most days, what we did, I like to brag, I slept in the tent on the Appalachian Trail every night because I did, but a lot of nights, my truck was right 5 feet away, right?
Ah, okay,
So we
so
got all our food, we got all the gear we need and everything. So we're carrying day packs most of the time. And then in the
okay.
morning, I would start out going north. Ronnie would drive down the mountain, get down the valley, go down to the next road that went over the Appalachian Trail, drive up to the trail, park his car, and he would hike towards me and I would hike towards him.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then we would meet, and he would always say, he would, when he would meet me, he would say, he would look at this thing. He had a Fitbit, he had a map thing that he was using. I chose not to do what he did. He was studying maps and he wanted to know all the technical stuff because he's a commercial pilot, right? That's what they do. They
Yeah.
got to know all the.
Gotta have checklists.
Yeah. I decided after a few days, I'm just going to hike it like it's 1970 or even 1990, like Bill Irwin did. And
Okay.
and he did it. And I'm not gonna pay it. I'm not gonna know what the elevation changes are gonna be. I'm just gonna enjoy it. And I took a lot of pictures. Ronnie took hardly no pictures. He was just marching. For him, it was like doing this. I'm gonna be in nature. I'm gonna get over this grief and sadness. And I was like more in the mindset. I am never coming here again.
I just wanna
This is
get
my
done with
one.
this.
I'm no, but I will in a good way. I'm never gonna be in this spot again. I am going to enjoy it.
Oh,
Right? So I'm trying to take it all in. I go around the corner and say, "Oh my dad," I take a picture. So Ronnie going south was running into hikers all the time.
right.
Yeah. And when we were going north, when I was going north, in the beginning, there was a lot of people were passing me because they'd be faster.
Right.
We almost never stopped, Howard. Never
Yeah.
stopped, except when Ronnie and I met. And then
Right.
Ronnie would always go, look and say, "Well, bro, I walked 6.4 miles and you walked 5 point." Okay, good, bro. So he did this every day. So one day we were in an area where it wasn't really arduous with a lot of rocks and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm gonna beat him. Oh, I was jogging
Oh,
someplace.
wow.
So when I ran into Ronnie, immediately his face, he goes, and then we're sitting there having a little snack, and he goes, "I've walked 5.9 and you've gone 6.3. How did you do that?" Albert, I never beat him again. That was the
Uh,
one and only time.
there a little brotherly competition there. As you and I do love the fact that, this was a kind of an alternative approach to hiking the trail, okay? And then it's also testament, there's no one way to do it. I mean, yes, you have to be prepared. Yes, you have to have good mindset and want to do it. And I love the fact that you also were in the moment, like, I'm never gonna do this again, so I wanna enjoy it. Because your book is actually very interesting, and we were chatting about it before the show. It's a big book. So how did you organize the book, and what are a lot of those photos that you took are actually in each chapter as well?
Correct. Yes, that's a good question. Yeah, this is what the book looks like on the outside.
Turn
Spiritual.
it side, turn it on the spine. That's a thick book.
Oh yeah, it's 364 pages.
Okay.
It's full of pictures.
Oh,
I mean,
wow. Nice.
somebody buys this book, they can hike if you're a hiker and you're in your 80s, I'm not gonna hike the Appalachian Trail, but I sure would like to. You could actually do it vicariously because every other chapter is about where we were, where we went, what mountains and things that we went over, what the elevation changes were, some of that kind of stuff, and then pictures of what it looked like along the way,
Mhm.
right? So you can actually go through the book and see what the trail looks like on that day, the things that I saw, the best
Oh,
of the things that I saw. I
I
took
love that.
5,000 pictures. There's 500 in the book.
I love that. As you were on the trail, earlier in our conversation, as you were sharing about your journey in the military and that first colonel that you talked about, who in some ways was like a guardian angel, helping to shift your trajectory of where you're going to go. Then you had your friend that was kept giving you these assignments in Puerto Rico. Was there any buddy on the trail that you just connected with, and they were, whether not so much a guardian angel, but just, wow, this, I like this person. I'm glad I met them. Is there anybody like that you
Oh
met?
my gosh. Yeah. Then there's pictures of some of the hikers in the book too. It was amazing the people on the Appalachian Trail that we ran into. And you get into a bubble where you see the same people for a while, and then they take a day off and you move ahead of them or whatever. And so you had like these bubbles and what in so I was kind of a spectacle in a way. Well, both of Ronnie and I were because we're a lot older than
Mhm.
anybody else, right? And with my limping too, that kind of stuck out to people. And fairly early on, I don't know where we were exactly, probably in Lower Virginia. I ran into this Oriental man.
Mhm.
He's like 5'4", dressed like a samurai warrior, right? He's got the man bun on the back. Could have had a sword in there for all I know. He's wearing these robes, but he's got a full pack and everything, and the hiking sticks and stuff. And his trail name was Half Slow. I don't know where he came up, right?
Okay.
So one day he got sick of watching me limp, I guess. I don't know. He came up to me and he goes, Rambo. That was my trail name. Ronnie gave me my trail name, Rambo. He said, Rambo,
Rambo. Okay.
you're going to hold hands. I'm going to say a prayer. I'm going to help you with your knees. I said, okay. So we're standing in the middle of the trail holding hands and he's saying a prayer and people are walking by us looking a little bit funny. And I'm standing there and he goes on and on. And all of a sudden I hear him say Macbeth. And I realized he's reciting Shakespeare.
Mhm.
I go, hey, Epsilon, I think, you know what? I think I feel better. I really appreciate you doing this for me. And he said, okay, fine. We let go of hands and I walked away and I did. The pain in my knees was gone.
Ah,
How the heck did that work? I don't know. Of course, it came back, you know. Oh, yeah, I could tell you all kinds of stories of the other hikers, and that's a big part of it. Everybody out there is probably there because of some aspect of their life they don't like,
mhm,
to be honest with you. One night, my brother goes, hey, bro, there's a lot of weird people. There is. He's right. There's
mhm,
a lot of weird people out here. And I go, well, yeah, Ronnie, I know. We're all weird. And he
mhm.
goes, Rand, you and I aren't weird. I go, yeah, we are. Everybody out here is weird, bro. Normal people don't do that. They just,
You just have gotten used to it over the years. It's like the frog in the water in the pot of water story. that slow boil, the frog's never going to jump out of that water. So so you guys are who you are. You've got 70 some years of getting to that point versus just jumping right in. Oh, let's just do it and not be prepared. What I would imagine that, I mean, those photos are very interesting to me because I have a photography background as well. And I love just being in the moment, slow hiking, slow birding, just even coaching in nature, going on walks, coaching folks on the trail. And I just love just being in the moment. I don't know that I could do the trail because I'd also want to feel like I would need to finish, get to Katahdin and do that. When you got up there, did you and your brother have the poles in your hand with the Katahdin sign behind you going, yay?
No, I have that picture of me on Killington Mountain in Vermont. I only did 1,863 miles.
Okay.
Ronnie
No, I got,
finished up with Rick while I was having my hip replaced because
ah,
I fell down a really bad rock slide in Wilcox Mountain in Massachusetts.
okay.
Yeah, and I would have been killed except my foot got wedged between two rocks, and that's what stopped me from tumbling all the way out. It was horrible. I was 10 feet from the top, Howard. I'm almost to the top of the mountain. I've already been hiking for 3 hours to get here, right? But I'm on this
Yeah.
rock slide. There's pictures of rock slides in the book. I don't, not that particular one, but, and you look at them and you go, there's no way the trail goes up that.
Mhm.
And then you look way up and you see a white blaze mark. Dang, that's where the trail goes. How could it do that?
Why would they do that? Why?
Yeah, well, see, the trail used to be in the 70s, the trail was only like 22,000 miles.
Mhm.
It's 200 miles longer because every year they started making it go over the top of more and more mountains. Back in the 70s, they didn't go over the top of every mountain in Shenandoah Mountain area. There's a road that goes through. That's where the trail went. Now it goes over every mountain in the Shenandoah National Forest.
They're making you work for it. What
Absolutely. And they've
when
added, that's why every year they add more miles to it.
oh,
I don't know if they're going to do that anymore. It's kind of run mountains, I think. But,
yeah, you'll
uh,
be in Canada next.
well, it does
When
go
you
into Canada, actually.
it does. Okay. When you finished, again, your decision that here's where I'm going to end. How did you feel? Was there like that, oh, thank God, or the euphoria, or what was this? What, if any, transformation
What
came
happened for,
about for you?
yeah, what happened for me? So I fell down that rock slide. I crawled back up to the top. I'm standing there. Look, I cannot go down this. I can't go back. It's just, it was, I probably would have. I was afraid I was going to die on that stupid rock slide. And I'm standing on an earthen trail on the top of Wilcox Mountain. I got to go 9 miles to get to where I'm supposed to be. And somewhere in there, I'm going to run into my brother. Or I can go 3 miles back down. And nope, I'm not. So I just started walking. The pain was incredible.
Mm,
The pain was, when I fell, I closed my eyes. I did that in combat a couple times too, where I was in a situation where there's nothing I can do and it's going to be bad. And I had just have that habit. I closed my eyes. This is gonna hurt really bad. Well, it hurt 100 times worse than I thought. I didn't even know how I stayed conscious. I mean, it was unbelievable. So anyway, I got up there. I walked out after a couple miles. The pain kind of morphed into more like a hot type of ache.
mhm.
And that night, we went to bed. I was really hurting bad, and the next morning I couldn't walk.
Okay. Okay.
So I said to my brother, I said, can't go any further. So we went home for a month. I did not get any medical treatment. I went home, rested a couple days, started walking.
Okay.
And then finally one day, Ronnie calls me up and says, you want to go back and see if we can finish it? I said, sure. So, but I was kidding myself. I actually did another 200 miles after that We got into the Whites in New Hampshire. Now, this is real mountains, right? Mount
Hmm.
Washington,
Yeah.
6,600 and some feet, highest winds ever recorded in North America, like 244 miles an hour, I think it is.
Hmm.
We got to Mount Washington and it was closed because of a snowstorm in July or whatever it was, August.
Oh, wow.
So we jumped up, we did Moosilauke, which is a really tough mountain. We did Wolf, and then we went back to do Washington, which was going to be a 3-day where we were going to have to climb with full pack, the whole 9 yards, right? Not just
Hmm.
day pack. We walked in, started up. There's a picture in the book of me. And I turned around and I started crying. My
Oh,
brother, I
wow.
don't think I ever seen me cry my whole life. And I just said, I can't do it anymore. The pain was so bad. I couldn't sleep anymore. You know,
Yeah.
we both lost 30 plus pounds.
Yeah.
I look like an Auschwitz. You look at some of the pictures in the book, I look like an Auschwitz survivor. Not to downplay them or anything, but
Yeah.
we're physically at the limit pretty much. And I just couldn't do it anymore. The pain was so bad. So
Okay.
long story short, I ended up a hip replacement, and Ronnie and Rick, he finished it with his oldest son, Rick.
Okay. Good.
And I have
Good.
pictures of that in the book too. And they went over Washington and made it to they weren't allowed to go up to Catadin because it was the beginning of the COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was 2020 when they got there.
What?
So, but I did the best I could.
Okay. Was there a aha moment for you just on this journey? I mean, you went through a lot. I mean, it's physically taxing, emotionally taxing, and you got to part of it, you had to stop, and then you went back, you had to stop. So there's emotion involved here. So what was that some inside this thread of this journey? There's what was your aha moment? Like I did this. In fact, and again, I'm envious. You did it with your brother. Okay. I mean, I don't have a brother, and I would love to think if I had one, we would do something like this together. So
Mhm.
what was your aha moment?
Probably one of the best ones was when so he's struggling with the grief of his wife's
Right.
death, all that. And he had a aha moment where one day it was Father's Day of 2018 and saw a huge halo in the forest. It was a very dark day. That was the only sunlight that day. And there's a picture of a similar effect in the book that I took where you had the rays of the sun coming down through the clouds and everything. And it just shows this big halo. And then the rest of the day, it's all cloudy. So you don't have any light at all. Right. And Ronnie had a conversation with Edie's basically he thought there was something in that halo. It could be Jesus, it could be Buddha, it could be Hindu, I don't know, Hindu God, whatever. It could be whatever you want it to be. But he felt like it was God's giving him a channel to speak with Edie, and that she was telling him, it's okay, I'm here with Dad. We're fine. You're doing the right thing. Keep going. I'm proud of you.
Mm,
And you'll be here with us, but not now. Right now, you keep doing what you're doing. And that was a very spiritual moment for him. And then he had another situation where he was having nightmares. We both had horrific nightmares from the war for
mm,
years. And I used alcohol to help me with some of that stuff. Not a
sure.
good medicine, but it kind of helped a little bit for a
Hmm.
while. And Ronnie, of course, didn't have that outlet or whatever. And I don't think he had any desire to either. But he just woke up screaming. And I got out of the tent and helped him out. And he was crying. He said, I can't do this anymore. We're just going to go home, blah, 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 blah. And it started to get light. And I said, look, bro, this is not a good. I held his hands, did a little prayer. This is not a good way to make a decision like this. We've been doing this so long now. And we're more than halfway there. It's not good to make a decision in the middle of the night when you're there. Let's just do our regular routine today. And then if you decide you don't want to do it, you can tell me when we meet at noon or whatever, and we'll go home. And he said, okay. And I'm in a world of hurt. Howard. I mean, my knees are killing me. I'm exhausted, and I'm still kind of enjoying it, but it's harder and harder. I met Ronnie at noon that day, and he kind of gives me a little smile and sits down, never says a word.
Mm,
And we
Interesting.
just kept going. I think that was in that stretch we did 33 days in a row, averaging 11 miles a day, which is incredible.
Yeah, very much
It's
so.
incredible. Try to go out and do uh, 30 miles in a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Appalachian Trail, and tell me what you think.
Yeah. I
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. Ronnie and I talk about it all the time. Like, how did we do that? I don't know. I have no idea how we did that. I feel like it was a God thing, and that it was just part of our spiritual journey.
mhm,
That's why I called it a spiritual passage. It
right.
helped me in my recovery program. It helped me help other men recover because men
Mhm.
work with men. And I'm in an alcohol recovery program where the members like to be in.
Sure. Sure.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you helped each other. Again, you did it with each other, and again, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And now you get to share this story, so you have a whole new career as a not only as an accomplished author, uh, as but also the speaking and helping and this journey, continuing journey as a recovering alcoholic, helping others who are going through their own journey, and that's making a difference in other people's lives as well. That's wonderful.
Yep. My second book just came out, Syracuse Hitman versus the Shoe Repairman, based on a guy I knew in my recovery program. He's gone now, but so yeah, I'm still writing books about. I've had several I'm working on about my career
Mhm.
as an attorney, which was just amazing. I had a
Yeah.
client kill me, uh, and he killed 3 other people the next day.
Oy.
That, oh yeah, that ended up being so. Anyway, I got a lot of stories.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And you, as you were sharing earlier, you still get out there and walk a couple miles a day.
Yeah, I'm averaging 40 miles a week.
I
I
I
mean,
I
I don't wanna ever lose this. I go to my meetings, I help guys, I walk, I write, I do publishing stuff. I have more joy in my life than I've ever had, and I'm 80 years old, go figure.
I hope I am like you when I'm 80 years old. There's not going to be another book in me. I will probably have maybe I'll have 2,000 podcasts in my library instead of whatever the number is today, but it's we have to get out there and
Well,
get out there in nature. Yeah.
you're helping a lot of people with your coaching thing, for
Yeah.
sure. So I think you're doing some really good service work there for sure, even if you're getting paid for it, however that works, but you're still
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, and that's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Rand,
sir.
it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And when I was reading and I forgot to mention that you and I met each other through our friends at Podmatch, which is a source for being a guest on a podcast or being for a host on a podcast, looking for a guest. And great site. And it was a pleasure to meet you through the site. So thank you, Podmatch. And it's been great to get to know you and hear some of your stories and just I and again, I know I keep repeating this like a broken record. The fact that you were out there with your brother is just to me is just I wish I was able to have that in my life. But my sister and if we went out on a trail together, one of us was not going to return. Okay.
I hear you.
but
I actually
but
hike with my sister sometimes. I have to put earplugs in.
enough said, I get that. I get that. I, which
I
is
love
also
her.
probably why I'm single, but it's just like because I just walk away. But and okay, I digress. I'm going to have to cut that one out. But listen,
Oh,
Rand, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And the website that we want to send our listeners to so they can learn about you and the book, and I know they can order the book on your podcast. Where's the best place to go?
RandTimmerman.com. Very simple. Just my name, all run together, a lowercase, RandTimmerman.com. That's it. Very simple. Or they can just
Excellent.
Google Spiritual Passage or my name. It'll pop up.
Something that's pretty, when you're able to do that and you just pop up like that, you know you've made it. You know you've made it. Rand, I wish you the very best and good health and stay happy and, you know, good, the emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being and getting out there in nature and just take care of yourselves and the people around you. And we really appreciate you spending time with us today.
Thank you, Howard. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close and then you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Sure.
All right, folks, we have just chatted with Rand Timmerman. He is the author of A Spiritual Passage. Rand is a retired attorney, and this conversation today really about a lot about the background and what led up to this amazing journey with his brother, two 70 something brothers who set out to hike the Appalachian Trail. And the book is just, it's wonderful. It's a thick book. So I wouldn't recommend hiking with the book because if you're hiking, the weight is everything. But if you get a chance, pick up a copy of the book. The great stories every day. There's it's kind of here's the journey, here's the photos. And really, what an amazing story and an amazing journey. And we certainly wish Rand the very best. Do go out to his website, randtimmerman.com. We're going to provide the backlink to it as well. Hopefully, Rand will grace us with a few photos we can keep in our show notes and put on our banners. But again, I've interviewed a number of folks who have hiked the Appalachian Trail, and it's not for the faint of heart. Not for the faint of heart. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's up. It's going to be on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. It'll be on LinkedIn and Facebook. There will be links there. Just search for Outdoor Adventure Series. We'll also have the show up on our YouTube channel. And of course, folks, you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a fantastic day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care.